The kitchen light burns white against the dark. Rain hammers the windows of Il Cielo Rosso, sheets of water sliding down glass like oil. The restaurant sits empty, tables wiped clean, chairs stacked, wine bottles locked behind steel gates. Manhattan sleeps outside, but inside, water runs. Plates clink. A sponge scrapes ceramic in slow, exhausted circles. Zuria Coleman stands at the industrial sink, shoulders bent, hands moving fast. She's 15 but looks smaller under the oversized apron, hair pulled back tight, eyes fixed on a mountain of dishes still waiting. Her fingers are raw, red from hot water, cracked at the knuckles. She doesn't stop, can't stop. The clock above the walk-in freezer reads 2:07 a.m. She doesn't hear the door open behind her, doesn't hear the footsteps crossing the tile, doesn't notice the shadow stretching across the counter until it's too late. Hi viewers, kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. The voice cuts through the kitchen like a blade. Why are you here? Zuria's hands freeze mid-scrub. The sponge slips from her grip, drops into the soapy water with a soft splash. Her breath catches, heart slams against her ribs. She turns slowly, water dripping from her wrists, and sees him. Don Ryoichi Tanaka stands 6 feet away, black suit, red shirt unbuttoned just enough to show the edge of ink crawling up his chest, dragons, flames, something ancient and violent. His face is stone, eyes sharp, jaw tight. He doesn't move, doesn't blink, just watches her with the kind of stillness that makes grown men confess. Zuria's throat closes. She opens her mouth. Nothing comes out. The Don takes 1 step forward. His shoes click against the tile. The sound echoes. I asked you a question. Her voice cracks when she finally speaks. I'm just. You're a child. The words land heavy. Not cruel, just fact. Zuria swallows hard. Her hands shake. She wipes them on the apron, buying time, trying to think of something to say that won't get her mother fired. But the truth is the only thing she has left. My mom needed help. The Don's expression doesn't change. He tilts his head slightly. Studying her like a puzzle, he's deciding whether to solve or throw away. Where is she? Zuria's heart drops. She glances toward the hallway, toward the closet where her mother fell asleep 20 minutes ago, still in her uniform, too tired to make a home. She looks back at the Don. His eyes haven't moved. She's resting. Just for a minute. She worked a double. That doesn't answer my question. The fluorescent lights hum overhead. The rain keeps falling. Zuria feels the weight of every secret she's been carrying for the last month pressing down on her chest. She wants to run. Wants to wake her mother and disappear into the night. But the Don is blocking the only exit. He steps closer. Close enough that she can smell cologne mixed with cigarette smoke. Close enough that she has to look up to meet his eyes. Why? He says slowly. Aren't you in school? The question hits her like a fist. Her mouth goes dry. She tries to lie, tries to say something about summer break or early dismissal or anything that sounds normal. But the words won't come, because he already knows. She can see it in the way he's looking at her. He's not asking because he's curious. He's asking because he wants to hear her say it. Zuria's voice drops to a whisper. We couldn't afford the bus this month. The Don goes completely still. For 3 seconds, nothing moves. Not him, not her, not even the air between them. Then something flickers across his face, something fast and buried deep. A memory, maybe, or a wound that never healed. It's gone before she can name it. His jaw tightens. His hands flex at his sides. When he speaks again, his voice is quieter, colder. Wake your mother. Zuria's stomach drops. Sir, please. Now. She doesn't argue. Can't argue. She turns and walks toward the hallway on legs that barely hold her weight, knowing that whatever happens next, nothing will ever be the same. What do you think the Don is about to do? The supply closet smells like bleach and old mop water. Leona Coleman sits slumped against the wall, head tilted back, mouth slightly open, still wearing the black uniform with the restaurant's logo stitched above her heart. Her hands rest in her lap, calloused, swollen at the knuckles, nails bitten down to nothing. She's been cleaning floors for 8 months. 12-hour shifts, sometimes 14. Her body gave out an hour ago, but she'd promised herself just 5 minutes of rest. Just 5. Zarya kneels beside her. Mama. Leona doesn't stir. Mama, wake up. Leona's eyes flutter open. For a second, she doesn't know where she is. Then she sees her daughter's face, sees the fear in her eyes, and sits up fast. Too fast. Her head spins. She grabs the shelf beside her for balance. What's wrong? What happened? Zarya's voice shakes. He's here. Leona blinks. Who? The dawn. The color drains from Leona's face. She pushes herself to her feet, legs trembling, smoothing down her uniform with hands that won't stop shaking. She steps out of the closet and sees him standing at the end of the hall. Tall, silent, watching. Her breath stops. She knows that look. It's the same look he gave the sous chef last month before firing him on the spot. The same look he gave the supplier who tried to cheat him. The look that comes right before everything falls apart. Leona steps in front of her daughter. Sir, I'm sorry. She shouldn't be here. I swear I'll. Don Tanaka raises one hand. Silence drops like a curtain. He doesn't yell. Doesn't need to. His voice is low, controlled, the kind of calm that's more dangerous than anger. What you should have done, he says, is tell me the truth. Leona's knees almost buckle. She grips Zarya's shoulder to steady herself, but her hands are shaking too hard. She tries to speak, tries to explain, but the words tangle in her throat. The Don steps closer. His shoes echo in the narrow hallway. He stops 3 feet away, close enough to see the exhaustion carved into Leona's face. The dark circles under her eyes. The way her uniform hangs loose because she's lost weight she didn't have to lose. He looks at her for a long time. Then he looks at Zarya, then back at Leona. How long has her daughter been working here? Leona's voice cracks. 3 weeks, maybe 4. I didn't ask her to. She saw me struggling, and that's not what I asked. Leona flinches. A month. Maybe a little more. The Don's expression doesn't change. He shifts his gaze to Zarya. In school. Zarya looks down at her shoes. Doesn't answer. Leona's chest tightens. She feels the walls closing in. Feels the weight of every lie she's told to keep this job pressing down on her lungs. She steps forward, hands clasped together like she's praying. Please, she whispers. If you fire me, we'll lose the apartment. She won't have anywhere to sleep. I'll work overtime. I'll work every night. Just don't fire me. Her voice breaks on the last word. The Don doesn't move, doesn't speak, just watches her with those cold, unreadable eyes. The silence stretches so long that Leona starts to believe he's already made his decision, that they're already gone. Then Zarya steps forward, small, exhausted, 15 years old, and already carrying more than she should. She looks up at the Don and says the only thing she can think of. Please, it's my fault. Punish me. Not her. The Don's gaze shifts to the girl, really looks at her this time, sees the cracks in her hands, the exhaustion in her eyes, the way she stands between him and her mother like a shield made of bone and desperation. Something tightens in his chest. He takes a breath, lets it out slow. Then he says the words that change everything. No one here is being fired. Leona gasps. Zarya stares at him, frozen, not sure she heard him right. The Don's voice drops lower, quieter, more dangerous. But I want the truth. All of it. Do you think he's really going to help them? Or is this a trap? Leona leads him back to the kitchen. Her legs barely work. Each step feels like walking through water. Zarya follows close behind, hands still damp from dishwater, eyes locked on the floor. The Don walks last, silent, hands in his pockets, watching everything. They stop near the prep counter. Stainless steel gleams under the lights. The rain hasn't stopped. Thunder rolls somewhere far away. The Don leans against the counter, crosses his arms, waits. Leona doesn't know where to start, so she starts at the beginning. I lost my other job 6 weeks ago, she says. Her voice is small, shaky. The diner I work mornings. They cut hours, then they cut me. I try to find something else, but nothing paid enough. Rent went up. The landlord. She stops, swallows hard. The Don doesn't interrupt. just watches. Leona keeps going. He said if I didn't have the full amount by the 15th, he'd evict us. I tried to pick up extra shifts here, but there weren't any. So Zaria, her voice breaks. She covers her mouth with one hand, try to hold it together, trying not to cry in front of the man who holds their entire life in his hands. Zaria steps closer, puts a hand on her mother's arm. Leona takes a breath, steadies herself, keeps talking. She started coming here at night, after I thought she was asleep. She'd sneak out and help me finish so I wouldn't collapse. I told her to stop. I told her 100 times, but she wouldn't listen. The Don's eyes shift to Zaria. What? Zaria looks up at him. Her voice is quiet but steady, because she fainted 2 weeks ago, right there by the sink. I found her on the floor when I woke up, and she wasn't home. She'd been working 19 hours straight. Leona closes her eyes. Shame burns through her chest. The Don's jaw tightens. He doesn't say anything, just processes, calculates, runs through every piece of information like he's building a case in his head. In school, he asks. Zaria hesitates, looks at her mother. Leona nods. They cut the bus route. Zaria says, the one that goes to my school. Budget cuts or something. Now it costs $8 a day to get there. We can't afford it, so I stopped going. The Don's expression doesn't change, but something cold settles into his eyes. How long? 3 weeks. In the school, Leona's voice cracks again. They threatened to report me. Said I was neglecting her. Said they'd call child services if she missed any more days. The words hang in the air like smoke. The Don looks at Leona, really looks at her, sees the woman who's been scrubbing floors on her hands and knees. The woman who's been lying to keep her daughter fed. The woman who's been punished for the crime of being poor. He sees it all, and something inside him shifts. He straightens up, uncrosses his arms. His voice comes out low, controlled, but there's an edge to it now. Something sharp and precise. You should have told me. Leona's breath hitches. I thought you'd fire me. I would have, he says flatly, if you brought your daughter here to exploit her. But that's not what this is. He glances at Zaria, then back at Leona. This is survival. The rain hammers harder against the windows. Thunder cracks closer this time. The Don pulls his phone from his pocket, checks the time, slides it back. When he looks up, his eyes are different, colder, sharper, like he's already made a decision and nothing's going to change it. Tomorrow morning, he says, your daughter's going back to school. Zaria opens her mouth to protest. He cuts her off with a look. That is not a request. Leona stares at him. But we can't. You're not hearing me, the Don says, voice dropping even lower. I didn't ask if you could afford it. I said she's going back. Leona's eyes fill with tears. She doesn't understand, doesn't know what he's offering or what it's going to cost. She just knows that this man, this dangerous, untouchable man, is standing in her kitchen at 2 in the morning telling her things are going to change. The Don looks at Zaria one more time, then at Leona. And you, he says, are taking 2 weeks off. Leona's legs go weak. I can't afford. You'll still be paid. Twice your usual rate. The words hit her like a punch. She stumbles back a step, grabs the counter for support. Tears spill down her face before she can stop them. Zaria stares at him, frozen, trying to understand why this is happening. Why a man like him would care about people like them. The Don doesn't explain. He just turns toward the door, pulling his phone back out. Then he stops, looks back over his shoulder. One more thing. Leona wipes her eyes. Yes, sir. His voice drops to something cold, something final. What's your landlord's name? What do you think the Don is about to do to that landlord? Leona's mouth goes dry. She stares at the Don, trying to understand why he's asking, trying to figure out what answer won't make things worse. But there's no good answer. There's only the truth. Marcus Webb, she whispers. The Don doesn't react, just nods once, types something into his phone. His thumbs move fast, precise, like he's done this 1,000 times before. Zaria watches him, watches the way his face stays blank, even though his fingers are moving with purpose. She's seen that look before, on TV, in movies. It's the look someone gets right before they destroy something. Leona takes a step forward. Sir, I don't want any trouble. If we could just keep working, we'll figure it out. We always do. The Don doesn't look up. How much does he charge you? 2,200 a month. His fingers stop moving. He looks up slowly. For what? A one-bedroom in Harlem. It's small, but it's close to. 2,200, the Don repeats. His voice is flat, cold. For a one-bedroom. Leona nods. The Don's jaw tightens. He goes back to his phone. Types faster now. His expression doesn't change, but the air around him shifts. Gets heavier, more dangerous. Zuria feels it. The way the temperature in the room seems to drop. The way her mother takes an instinctive step back, even though he hasn't moved. When's the last time he fixed anything? The Don asks. Leona hesitates. He doesn't really. Answer the question. Never. He's never fixed anything. The Don's eyes lift from his phone. Lock onto Leona. The heat works. Sometimes. The water. Mostly. Locks on the doors. Leona doesn't answer. Just looks down. The Don's voice drops to something lethal. Does he come by when you're alone? Zuria feels her stomach twist. She looks at her mother, suddenly terrified of the answer. Leona's silence says everything. The Don's hand tightens around his phone. His knuckles go white. For 3 seconds, he doesn't move, doesn't speak, just stands there, processing, calculating, letting the rage build somewhere deep where no one can see it. Then he lifts the phone to his ear. Someone answers on the first ring. It's me, the Don says. His voice is calm. Too calm. I need you to find someone. Marcus Webb, landlord. Operates in Harlem. I want every violation, every lie, every debt, every tenant he's screwed over. And I want it tonight. He listens for a second. Then his voice drops lower. And if he's touched anyone, he pauses. Glances at Leona. If he's threatened anyone, I want the building under my name by sunrise. He hangs up. The kitchen goes silent. Zuria stares at him, heart pounding, trying to understand what just happened, trying to wrap her head around the fact that this man, this terrifying, untouchable man, just declared war on their behalf. Leona's voice is barely a whisper. Why are you doing this? The Don slides his phone back into his pocket, looks at her for a long time, then at Zuria, then back at Leona. When he finally speaks, his voice is quieter. Softer, but no less dangerous. Because I was her once. The words land like stones in water. Zuria's breath catches. The Don doesn't elaborate, doesn't explain. He just stands there, hands in his pockets, looking at them like he's seeing something from a long time ago. Something painful. Something he buried so deep he forgot it was there. I slept on floors, he says. Worked jobs I was too young for. Watched my mother break herself, trying to keep us alive. And no one helped. Not one person. Not until it was too late. He takes a breath, lets it out slow. So, when I see a girl washing dishes at 2 in the morning because the system decided her mother doesn't deserve mercy, he stops. His jaw tightens. I don't walk away. Leona's legs give out. She sits down hard on a stack of crates, hands over her face, sobbing quietly. Zuria kneels beside her, wrapping her arms around her mother, feeling her shake. The Don watches them, doesn't move, doesn't speak, just lets them have this moment. This small, fragile moment of relief. Then his phone buzzes. He pulls it out, reads something. His expression hardens. Your landlord, he says, has 18 code violations, 12 complaints filed against him, and 3 restraining orders from former tenants. Leona looks up, eyes red. What does that mean? The Don's voice is cold. Final. It means by morning, you won't have a landlord anymore. What do you think is about to happen to Marcus Webb? The rain finally stops around 3 a.m. Zuria sits on a crate in the corner of the kitchen, knees pulled to her chest, watching her mother sleep. Leona passed out 20 minutes ago, exhaustion finally winning. Her head rests against the wall, mouth slightly open, breathing steady for the first time in weeks. The Don stands by the window, hands in his pockets, staring out at the empty street. His phone buzzes every few minutes, but he doesn't check it, just lets it vibrate against his chest while he thinks. Zuria doesn't know what to say to him, doesn't know if she's supposed to say anything. So she just sits there, watching him, trying to figure out how someone so dangerous can also be the only person who's ever helped them. The Don finally turns around, looks at her. You should sleep. Zuria shakes her head. I'm not tired. He studies her for a moment, then walks over, pulls a chair from the prep station, and sits down across from her. Close enough to talk, far enough to not crowd her. "How long have you been doing this?" he asks. "A month, maybe longer. And before that?" Zuriya hesitates. "I used to help her clean apartments on weekends. She worked for a cleaning company, but they laid her off." The Don nods slowly. "Processing. You ever tell anyone? Teachers? Friends?" "No." "Why not?" Zuriya looks down at her hands. "Because they call child services, and then I'd lose her." The Don's expression doesn't change, but something flickers in his eyes. Understanding. Or maybe recognition. "You're smart," he says. Zuriya looks up, surprised. "Most kids your age," the Don continues, "they panic. They make mistakes. They get loud. But you stayed quiet. Kept your head down. Protected your mother. That takes discipline." Zuriya doesn't know how to respond. So she doesn't. The Don leans back in his chair, crosses his arms, looks at her like he's deciding something. "You remind me of someone," he says. "Who?" "Me." The word hangs in the air. Zuriya swallows. "When you were my age?" The Don nods. "I was 14 when my father left. My mother worked 3 jobs. I watched her destroy herself, trying to keep us fed. So I started working too. Construction sites, delivery routes, anything that paid cash. I lied about my age, forged papers, did whatever I had to do." He pauses, looks out the window again, and no one helped us. Not the city, not the schools, not the people who claimed they cared. They just watched us drown and called it our fault for not swimming fast enough. Zuriya's chest tightens. She knows that feeling, has lived it every day for the last 6 months. The Don looks back at her. "That's why I don't walk away. Because I know what it's like to be invisible, to work yourself to death and still not be enough." His voice drops lower, harder, and I swore that if I ever had power, real power, I'd use it to make sure no one else had to go through what I did. Zuriya stares at him, seeing him differently now, not as the man everyone fears, but as the boy who survived, who fought his way up from nothing and refuses to let anyone else fall the way he did. "What happened?" she asks quietly. "To your mom." The Don's jaw tightens. He doesn't answer for a long time. When he finally speaks, his voice is barely above a whisper. "She died when I was 17. Heart attack. The doctors said it was stress, but I knew the truth. The system killed her, worked her until there was nothing left, and then blamed her for dying." Zuriya feels tears prick her eyes. She blinks them back. The Don stands, walks to the window again, stares out at the street, hands in his pockets, shoulders tense. "I built everything I have," he says, "so I'd never be powerless again. So I'd never have to watch someone I care about suffer because the world decided they didn't matter." He turns back to her. His eyes are hard, unforgiving. "And now I'm going to make sure you and your mother never have to suffer like that again." His phone buzzes. This time he checks it, reads something. His expression shifts, gets colder, more focused. He types a response. Hits send, slides the phone back into his pocket. When he looks up, his voice is calm, controlled, final. "Your landlord just lost his business license. The building's been seized by the city, and by tomorrow afternoon, I'll own it." Zuriya's breath stops. "What does that mean?" The Don's eyes meet hers. "It means you're not paying rent anymore." What's going to happen when Marcus Webb finds out he's been destroyed overnight? The sun breaks through the windows at 6 a.m. Zuriya jerks awake on the crate, neck stiff, legs numb. Her mother's still asleep against the wall. The Don is gone. For a second, she wonders if last night was a dream, if she imagined the whole thing. Then she sees the note on the prep counter. Black ink, clean handwriting. "Be ready at 8 a.m. The car will take you to school. Don't argue." Zuriya's hands shake as she reads it. She looks at her mother, still sleeping, face peaceful for the first time in months. She wants to wake her, wants to ask if this is real, but something stops her. The kitchen door swings open. A woman walks in, tall, sharp suit, clipboard in hand. She looks at Zuriya, then at Leona, then back at Zuriya. "You're the Coleman girl?" Zuriya nods, throat dry. "I'm Keisha. I work for the Don. He sent me to handle a few things." She glances at her clipboard. "First, your mother's taking the next 2 weeks off. Paid, double rate, already processed." Zuriya blinks. What? Keisha doesn't smile. Just keeps talking. Second, you're enrolled back in school. Transportation's covered. Supplies are covered. Lunch is covered. If anyone asks questions, you tell them to call this number. She hands Zuria a business card. Third, your apartment situation is being handled. You'll receive confirmation by noon. Zuria stares at the card. Looks back up. Why is he doing this? Keisha's expression softens. Just barely. Because he can. And because you reminded him of something he doesn't like to remember. She turns to leave. Stops at the door. Looks back. Don't waste this. He doesn't give second chances often. The door swings shut. Leona wakes up. Sees Zuria holding the card. Sees the look on her daughter's face. What happened? Zuria hands her the note. Leona reads it. Once. Twice. 3 times. Then her hands start shaking. She covers her mouth. Tears spill down her face. Not sad tears. Something else. Relief. Disbelief. Hope. Is this real? She whispers. Zuria doesn't know. Can't know. But she nods anyway. Leona pulls her daughter into her arms. Holds her tight. Sobs into her hair. Zuria holds her back, feeling her mother's body shake, feeling the weight of 6 months finally lifting. At 7:45 a.m., a black car pulls up outside. Zuria watches from the window. The driver gets out, opens the back door, waits. Leona straightens Zuria's shirt, smooths her hair, wipes the tears from her own face. You ready? Zuria looks at her mother, at the woman who's been fighting alone for so long, who's been breaking herself to keep them alive. Yeah, she says. I'm ready. She walks to the door, stops, looks back one more time. Leona smiles, a real smile, the first one Zuria's seen in months. Zuria steps outside. The driver nods. She gets in the car. The door closes. The engine starts. As they pull away, Zuria sees someone standing in the restaurant window. The Don, watching her leave, making sure she's safe. Will Zuria's life finally change? Or is this just the calm before something worse? Marcus Webb wakes up to pounding on his door. He rolls over, checks his phone. 9:17 a.m. He's got 6 missed calls, 12 texts, all from the same number. The property management company. The pounding gets louder. He stumbles out of bed, pulls on a shirt, walks to the door, opens it. 2 men in suits stand in the hallway. Behind them, a city inspector. Behind her, 2 cops. Marcus's stomach drops. Marcus Webb, the first suit, asks, Yeah, who's asking? The man holds up a badge. City Housing Authority. This building's been seized due to multiple code violations. You have 30 minutes to vacate the premises. Marcus stares at him. What? You're being evicted. Effective immediately. You can't do that. I own this building. The inspector steps forward. Hands him a folder. Not anymore. As of 6 a.m. this morning, ownership has been transferred to a private entity. You're no longer the landlord. You're now a tenant, and you're in violation of your lease. Marcus rips the folder open, scans the paperwork. His face goes white. This is illegal. You can't just. We can, the inspector says flatly. And we did. You've been operating without proper licensing for 2 years. 18 code violations, 12 formal complaints, and 3 restraining orders. You're lucky you're not in handcuffs. Marcus's hands shake. Who bought the building? The inspector doesn't answer, just hands him another paper. You have 30 minutes. They turn and walk away. The cops stay behind, watching. Marcus slams the door, grabs his phone, dials his lawyer, gets voicemail, dials again. Nothing. He starts throwing things into a bag. Clothes, papers, cash. His mind races, trying to figure out who would have the money and the power to do this overnight. Then his phone buzzes. Unknown number. He answers. Yeah. A voice. Calm. Cold. Familiar. Mr. Webb. This is Don Tanaka. Marcus freezes. You don't know me, the Don continues. But I know you. I know what you've been doing. I know who you've been hurting. And I know that you thought you could get away with it because no one cared enough to stop you. Marcus's throat goes dry. You were wrong. The line goes dead. Marcus drops the phone, sits down on the edge of the bed, stares at the wall. His hands won't stop shaking. Outside, the cops knock again. Time's up. What happens to a man who loses everything in one night? Zaria walks through the school doors at 9:42 a.m. The hallways are empty. Everyone's in class. Her footsteps echo on the tile. She stops at the main office. The secretary looks up, surprised. Zaria Coleman? Zaria nods. The secretary types something into her computer, frowns, types again. Then her expression changes. She picks up the phone, whispers something, hangs up. The principal wants to see you. Zaria's stomach tightens. She follows the secretary down the hall, into the principal's office. Mrs. Daniels sits behind her desk, hands folded, face unreadable. Sit down, Zaria. Zaria sits. Mrs. Daniels studies her for a long moment. Then she pulls out a file, opens it, reads something, closes it. We received a call this morning, she says, from a legal representative. They informed us that your transportation issues have been resolved, that you'll be returning to school full-time, and that any further absences will be excused retroactively. Zaria doesn't know what to say, so she just nods. Mrs. Daniels leans forward. They also made it very clear that if we attempt to file any reports against your mother, there will be legal consequences. Zaria's breath catches. Mrs. Daniels' expression softens, just slightly. I don't know who's helping you, Zaria, but they've made sure you're protected. So I'm going to ask you one question, and I need you to be honest with me. Zaria waits. Are you safe at home? Zaria thinks about her mother, about the nights she's spent washing dishes, about the exhaustion and the fear and the constant weight of surviving. But she also thinks about the Don, about the way he looked at her, about the way he said, I was her once. Yes, she says, I'm safe. Mrs. Daniels nods, closes the file, then welcome back. Zaria walks to her locker, opens it. Inside, there's a new backpack, new notebooks, pens, pencils, everything she needs. A note falls out. You don't owe me anything. Just don't waste it. Zaria stares at the note, feels something crack open her chest, something she hasn't let herself feel in a long time. Hope. At lunch, she sits alone in the cafeteria, pulls out her phone, texts her mother. I'm back in school. Everything's okay. 3 dots appear. Then a message. I'm so proud of you. Zaria smiles. A real smile. The kind she forgot she could make. She doesn't see the Don standing outside the school, watching from across the street, making sure she's where she belongs. He gets back in his car, drives away. But before he does, he makes one more call. It's done, he says. The girl's back in school. The mother's resting. The landlord's gone. Everything's handled. The voice on the other end asks a question. The Don's expression hardens. No, he says quietly. This one's personal. He hangs up, and for the first time in years, he feels something he thought he'd lost. Peace. How will this act of kindness change the Don's reputation in the underworld? 2 weeks pass like a breath. Leona sleeps for the first 3 days straight. When she finally wakes up, her body doesn't hurt anymore. Her hand stops shaking. She looks in the mirror and barely recognizes herself. The apartment's different too. The locks work. The heat's on. The water pressure's strong. And when she checks the mailbox, there's a letter waiting. Rent, $0. Paid in full. Indefinitely. She reads it 5 times, then sits down on the couch and cries. Zaria comes home from school to find her mother cooking. Actually cooking, not reheating leftovers, not eating cereal for dinner. Real food. The smell fills the apartment. You're cooking, Zaria says, stunned. Leona wipes her eyes, smiles. I forgot what it felt like. They eat together, at the table. No TV, no rushing. Just the two of them, talking, laughing, living like normal people for the first time in months. That night, Leona gets a call. It's Keisha. The Don wants to see you both. Tomorrow, at the restaurant. 6 p.m., don't be late. The line goes dead. Leona looks at Zaria. He wants to see us. Zaria's stomach flips. What? I don't know. The next evening, they walk into Il Cielo Rosso together. The restaurant's closed. Empty. Just the two of them and the Don, sitting at a table near the window. He stands when they enter, gestures to the chairs across from him. Sit. They sit. The Don studies them, sees the difference. Leona's eyes are brighter. Zaria's shoulders aren't hunched anymore. They look like people who've been given permission to breathe. How are you? He asks. Leona's voice shakes. Better. Thank you. For everything. I don't know how to repay you. The Don shakes his head. You don't. But you don't owe me anything. You never did. Zuriya looks at him. Then why did you help us? The Don's expression softens. Just barely. Because someone should have helped me. And they didn't. He reaches into his jacket, pulls out an envelope, slides it across the table. Leona opens it. Inside, there's a check and a letter. The check is for $10,000. Leona gasps. I can't. You can, the Don says. And you will. Use it however you need. Save it. Spend it. I don't care. Just don't let anyone make you feel small again. Zuriya reads the letter. It's a job offer. For her mother. At the restaurant. Manager position. Triple her old salary. Tears stream down Leona's face. Why? She whispers. The Don leans back. Crosses his arms. Looks at them both. Because you reminded me what strength looks like. Is this really the end? Or just the beginning of something bigger? 3 months later, Zuriya graduates with honors. Her mother's in the front row, smiling, healthy, proud. Next to her, Keisha, and in the back, barely visible, the Don, watching, silent. When Zuriya walks across the stage, he stands. Doesn't clap, doesn't cheer, just stands. A gesture of respect, a promise kept. After the ceremony, Zuriya finds him in the parking lot, leaning against his car, arms crossed, watching the crowd. You came, she says. I said I would. Zuriya looks at him, really looks at him, sees the man who saved her, who gave her a future when she thought she didn't have one. Thank you, she says. The Don nods. Don't thank me. Just keep going. Keep fighting. And when you have power, real power, use it the right way. Zuriya swallows. I will. The Don gets in his car, starts the engine, rolls down the window. One more thing. Zuriya waits. If you ever need anything, you call me. Understood. Zuriya nods. The Don drives away. Zuriya watches him go, knowing that her life will never be the same. Knowing that sometimes the most dangerous person in the room is the one who chooses to protect you instead of destroy you. She walks back to her mother. They hug, tight, long, full of everything words can't say. As they leave, a black car pulls up beside them. The window rolls down. It's the Don's lieutenant. Boss wants you to know something. Zuriya leans in. What? The lieutenant's expression is unreadable. That landlord, Marcus Webb, he tried to come back, tried to file a lawsuit, tried to get his building back. Zuriya's heart stops. What happened? The lieutenant's mouth curves into something that's not quite a smile. He disappeared, quietly, completely, like he never existed. The window rolls up. The car drives away. Zuriya stands frozen, understanding exactly what that means. Understanding the kind of man who saved her, the kind of power he wields, the kind of justice he delivers. And she realizes something. This wasn't just about helping them. This was about sending a message to anyone who preys on the powerless, to anyone who thinks they can get away with it. The Don doesn't forgive. He doesn't forget, and he never lets the guilty walk free. Zuriya looks at her mother, sees the same understanding in her eyes. They don't speak. They just walk home, together, safe, finally free. But in the back of Zuriya's mind, one question remains. What will the Don ask for in return? If this story moved you, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss stories that inspire. Drop a comment and share your thoughts. Your words might inspire someone else who needs to hear this. Sometimes the right person sees your struggle at exactly the right moment. And sometimes that changes everything.